Hello and welcome to Real Estate Divas. Today we have a sexy, scorching topic, the topic of insurance and when to file a claim, and then also when to get an appraiser involved if you're having trouble getting your insurance claim fully funded. And Jer'Leigh, my lovely co-host Jer'Leigh, has a ton of experience in this and is going to be dropping some knowledge right after this. Hello. So Jer'Leigh, let's jump right into it.
All right, let's do it.
I hate insurance.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's nothing sexy about insurance, right? No. Except for maybe people that are super passionate about insurance, then maybe they think it's pretty
insurance
sexy.
Sucks.
Nobody likes paying it, and then everybody feels like they're getting kind of messed over every time there's a claim against it, because then your insurance goes up and everything, I mean, it just sucks.
Until you find that you need it because you had some bonehead client, some bonehead tenant.
Yeah, so we've talked about insurance before, but insurance whenever we're talking about like roof claims and things like that. So those are important as well. They're not as catastrophic and don't deal with as much money typically, unless you're talking about like a commercial building or something. What I wanted to talk about today is personally what I experienced over the last year. So
you have this tenant who lovely leaves a candle burning.
Yes, so the tenant left the candle burning, went to work, and the place went up in flames. So now I've got a property that we have to vacate.
When did this happen?
This happened last September. It's August, end of August now, in case you're seeing this way after the fact. It's end of August now, so it's almost been a year.
Almost 1 year after your house burned down. It's boarded up.
It's been boarded up the entire time.
Because you're fighting insurance.
Yeah, because basically what happened is, the insurance comes in, the remediation, I felt like the remediation took a while, which is basically just a company coming in and doing demo work with all the fire and water damage. And then they find asbestos. So then they've got to clear that out, and you've got to have a certified asbestos handler in order to move all that out. All that to say, remediation cost me $28,000. And when I say cost me, the insurance company paid them directly, so no money out of pocket. But I planned on, since I have the crews, I planned on doing the rehab work.
Sure.
They tried to settle with me back in November of last year for $24,000. They paid remediation $28,000.
And then they wanted to completely rehab the property for $24,000.
Yeah.
How many square feet is this property?
It is 1,200 square feet.
1,200, what is that? Is 3-bedroom, 1 bath?
3-bedroom, 1 bath.
3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1 kitchen. So it's not a huge property.
No.
But in what universe?
World?
Yeah, can you get $24,000, an entire house? And I'm assuming you've got to have structural. You've got to.
There's much of the house is a gut job. Not the entire house. Like the kitchen was untouched for the most part. It did get some water damage.
Smoke damage?
Yeah, water and smoke damage.
Yeah, sure.
But, I just sat there looking at the settlement going, $28,000 for demo, and then you want me to replace everything for $24,000?
What's the after repair value at right now?
The after repair value is probably about $220,000.
Okay, so if they're only offering $24,000, they're really trying to.
Yeah, they're trying to.
It's egregiously undervalued.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I did what most people do. You call your insurance agent. What do I do? Well, you're in construction. So
make $24,000 magically work?
Well, you're in construction. Submit bids. And I was like, okay, that's great. I don't do everything. The construction company doesn't do electrical, doesn't do this, doesn't do that.
Sure.
So this is going to be a part-time job of meeting contractors at the property. And he was like, well, if you want to fight it, like that is literally the
That's
help.
what your insurance agent said.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you have to imagine, I mean, you've got enough insurance with this person that.
I felt like they should have been more helpful. I'm just going to put it out
sure
there.
They should have been more helpful.
I feel like they should have been more helpful. And so.
That's why I hate insurance.
And I do have other insurance policies with other people that they were more helpful after the fact, but I don't have that policy with them.
Right.
So.
And you won't going forward either.
So it was actually, strangely enough, it was at a happy hour with friends of mine where a very, very dear friend of mine has been in insurance his entire career, but it's commercial insurance. And he just looked at me and he goes, why haven't you hired an appraiser? And I was like, what?
Like, duh.
Yeah.
Like this is common knowledge?
Why hasn't your agent told you to hire an appraiser? And I was like, how could an appraiser help me? Because I'm thinking real estate.
Real estate appraiser.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not what they are. They basically, the appraisers have usually been an adjuster at some point. They've worked for insurance companies, and then this is them going out on their own, and they become an appraiser of the damage based on the insurance numbers. So they go out, do the scope of work, and come up with, this is how much damage is here, and this is how much it should pay out based on insurance numbers, Xactimate numbers, because all insurance uses Xactimate.
Is this a different type of, an appraiser from a real estate appraiser that goes out and appraises like a property and whatever condition it's at for a sale, for a mortgage
totally
company?
Different.
So it's a different type, but it's
Totally
still called
different.
an appraiser.
But they still call it. That's why I was confused of how are they going to help me?
Right? How would they? How would these people help me?
But yeah, that's what he basically told me at this happy hour.
How did you find this
Strangely
insurance appraiser?
enough, because of being in construction and being in the roofing business, we deal with adjusters a lot. And you have independent adjusters and you have insurance adjusters. So I reached out to one of my adjusters and I said, do you know any appraisers? Or are you one? Are you a certified appraiser? I don't even know where to look. I mean, it's not like you can look them up on the phone, in the phone book. I mean, not that anybody uses a phone book anymore.
Well, especially since I'd never heard of this.
Yeah.
I just thought you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's been a whole new ballgame for me. It's been a real learning experience.
All right. So you contact your insurance appraiser to come out and look at the damage. What months did you do that in?
He came out and met me. When did he do that? I believe it was January when we finally did it. Because you have to officially say, I want to take this to appraisal.
Like 8 months ago.
Yeah. I want to take this to appraisal. You have to let your adjuster that's been assigned to you know that you want to take it to appraisal, and usually your agent as well, and then submit that in writing, and then the insurance company will hire their own appraiser, and then you have 30 days to hire yours and submit that information to the insurance company.
Wow.
Yeah. So you do have to come out of pocket. I think a lot of people, and I didn't even understand this before, is you'd see burnout houses, or like whenever we had the storm that busted all those pipes, our ice winter storm apocalypse thing that happened here. And people lost their house because of it. And I'm like, how do you lose your house if you've got insurance? Like, it didn't make any, because I haven't had to experience it. It didn't make any sense to me. And it's because the insurance companies gave them insufficient funds to do the work that was needed to get that house
and
back to
the insurance
where
company had to know that offering you $24,000, I mean, a 1,200 square foot home, I mean, yeah, you're spending.
More than 24?
Definitely.
I mean, 24 is lipstick,
Heck, it's not even a lot of lipstick.
Yeah, I mean, I just did vinyl floors and paint in a in our office building, and that's 2,100 square feet, but that's all we did, and that was 20,000.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, $24,000 is nothing. So anyway, I ended up with the appraiser. I got a recommendation for the appraiser and told him the situation. And he told me before I even cut him a check, because appraisers base their fees on, there's usually an upfront cost, and then depending on the size of the claim, there may be a percentage of what your settlement is what you owe the appraiser.
Okay.
So
that's a thing.
that's the thing.
So if you get a ton, like if your settlement, so is that the difference between your original 24 and then how much more he's able to get
How
you?
much more he's able
And
to
he
get
gets
you.
a percentage of
He
that.
gets a percentage of that. Now on mine, because his strategy, I don't know if everybody's the same, and hopefully we'll get him on. I've talked to him, and I think he'd have a lot of really valuable information for us. But he basically told me anything under $100,000, I'm not trying to take a percentage of. So I paid him an upfront flat fee, and that upfront flat fee, like I have to come out of pocket for that. A lot of people don't have that. You just lost, especially if that's your homestead.
And you lost everything?
And you just lost everything, and you're trying to get money out of the insurance company. Now you're having to live someplace else, you know.
And possibly still pay a mortgage.
Yep. So you've got a lot of things going on, and then to come out of pocket, not knowing how much more you might actually get. So
Do you think a lot of people will just walk away and just go, okay?
I think a lot of people do. I mean, how many burnout houses do you see on wholesale lists, or the catastrophic, pipes bursting, it flooded out, it's been gutted,
So they take their insurance.
They take whatever settlement they got and they just walk.
And they walk, and then they wholesale the property.
Yep.
Yeah. Sure.
So, I mean, it's a great deal for investors out there, but for the people that are actually trying to save their home or save that asset, what the heck?
Right.
So getting him out there, we met at the property, and I showed him around and told him basically gave him all the paperwork, told him everything that they had offered me. And even before going out to the property, he said, I'm not sure there's enough money here for you to hire me. Let me come look at the property, and then I'll decide. So him saying that, to me was, well, I can't lose by meeting him,
Right.
So we met out at the property, and he walked it, and he was like, yeah, they're raking you over the coals. Like this is a no-brainer.
Right.
He goes, absolutely, I think it would behoove you to go ahead and hire me. So I had to cut him a check right then, gave him a check, and then he went about making his report, and he makes his whole report and scope of work based on the insurance money, or based on the insurance numbers, and presents that to the other appraiser.
Now, you didn't have to go get your, part-time job where you were meeting contractors over there, getting bids.
I
did
did
you still
actually.
do that?
I did that prior to hiring him, because I didn't know about him until, this happened in September. I didn't hire him until January, February of this year. So I was doing that. I submitted that, and they wouldn't.
Had you hired him back almost a year ago in September, as soon as you got this bogus number of 24,000, if you had hired him right away, you could have had this done a lot faster. It wouldn't
It wouldn't have taken a full year.
Right.
It may have still taken 6 to 8 months, but I don't think it would have taken a year had I known what I know now.
Right.
Yeah. But whenever I presented the bids and everything that were somewhere around $50,000, that's what I presented, was $50,000.
And they still didn't accept it.
They came up to 32.
Okay, so
And I
they
was
first
like,
gave you
absolutely.
24, and then you go around, you do all of the work, you have all of these bids, you go, it's going to cost me this much, 50. And
they came up to 32.
they came up to 32. All right, so now you hire your appraiser guy,
Yep.
and you cut him a check up
cut him a
front,
check.
which is, a lot of people would be, you're right, it's risky, and do they even have that money anymore? And
Yeah, and the one thing that they do tell you is you'll never get less than your last offer. It'll always be that 32. But if I just cut you a check for 25, well, now that's $2,500 less than what,
Right.
but it'll never be less than the 32. And if the appraiser is an upfront guy, which I like to assume most people are, but if he's an upfront guy, then he's going to tell you whether or not this is worth your time and money or not.
Right, because I mean, if you're going to pay $2,500 and you're going to jump through all of these hoops, and then you're going to get an extra $10,000.
Yep.
I mean, it might be worth it for some people.
It would still, you're still making more out of it than what you put in, but a lot of people, like I said, just don't have that cash to do that. So he starts battling back and forth with the other appraiser, and the other appraiser is taking his time, dragging his feet, and there is nothing you can do.
So you just have to wait.
You just
wait.
wait.
And in the meantime, your property's boarded up, can't live there, can't do anything with it.
Yeah, you can't, because if you touch the property prior to it being settled, then you've compromised the property. And should it escalate, like mine had to, should it escalate to the next step, well, they need to be able to see that the property is damaged and what it looks like. They don't want to see any improvements, because now you've kind of tampered with the scene and they don't know how bad it is.
Okay, so did you have to go to another step past having the appraisers?
Yes.
You did. So
Yes.
now you've got two appraisers. You've got the insurance appraiser that they've hired. You've got your appraiser that you've hired, and they're fighting back and forth.
Yep. And the other guy keeps, my appraiser is, keeping me well informed all along the way. But basically just told me this guy
Is not
participating. His scope of work is kind of all over the place.
So now you've got to go to insurance appraiser mediation.
Pretty much. And so what they call that is you have to hire an umpire.
Where are they getting these terms?
I don't know. I was like, so we're going to mediation? Yeah, you go to an umpire.
Umpire.
And I'm like, okay.
Which is, to be fair, I really do like the baseball term, but I would have been like, could we maybe keep baseball terms for the whole thing?
Yeah, right. Let's not jump around.
Why appraiser?
Yeah. So
the first line coach, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So then we have to go to go to umpire after it's been in appraisal we went to umpire in July. And so we couldn't come to terms with it. So in July, we went ahead and called for an umpire. And basically what happens is both of the appraisers decide they're not going to agree. I'm not coming down. You're not coming up. And one of the things that my appraiser told me is, I don't want to come down any further, because that jeopardizes things if we end up going to appraisal, because they'll use my lowest number against me. And if you go to umpire, guess what? It costs you money.
I was just going to ask. I'm like, you've already written this guy a check, $2,500.
Yep.
How much does umpire guy cost?
You have to split it in half with the insurance company. Whatever their fee is, you have to pay half.
Okay.
So that was another $1,000.
So you had to pay an additional $500.
Well, no, that was $1,000 for my part.
Oh, $1,000 for your part.
Yeah.
So the umpire cost $2,000.
Yeah.
To sit down and look at a couple of reports.
To manage the mediation.
That sounds like a good business.
Right. Well, and so the umpire was an attorney. There are umpire businesses that insurance companies affiliate with, and that's who they call, and then they select the umpire. It's supposed to be an unbiased source, and they compare apples to apples of what those reports look like.
So it is an unbiased source, but your insurance company selected this guy in this company. So really, it was kind of on the side from the beginning.
Exactly.
Okay, so what did the umpire decide?
So the umpire basically, they went back and forth with their reports. He viewed the property, and my appraiser said that he made the decision once they got all the information, because it was still a couple of weeks later once he actually got everything from all parties. He said he made his decision within 30 minutes, and we got $94,000.
Which is awesome.
I know. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? But had to wait a whole entire year to do it.
You're out some money.
Yeah, and you have to come out of pocket. And it just, like at the end of it, I was just blown away that this is the process. And now it just made sense. Like all of these houses that end up on wholesalers, I just thought it was people like, I don't want to deal with it.
I always thought, I'm like, okay, well, that's just like cop out, easy way to
Yep.
do it. But you see it all the time. You're like,
You
why
see
is
it
this
all
burned
the
out
time.
property just being sold?
Yeah.
And
It's
I'm like,
crazy.
they took all that insurance money, didn't fix it, and then
Yeah,
they're
they're
just
not
selling the project. I'm like,
yeah,
that's
they're not being shady. These are not, you know, the homeowner is not being shady. They're not getting paid enough. And then you got to fight so hard, and then you don't know the ins and outs. I mean, had it not been, I mean, there's a couple of circumstances there that I just happened upon and being in
you
this
just
industry.
happened to be at the right happy hour where somebody was like, duh, why aren't you doing this?
Yeah,
But you don't know, and you're expecting your insurance agent.
to tell me what I need to know, who only later ended up telling me, well, if you had called me in the beginning, then you wouldn't have had to use a appraiser. And I was like,
I
What?
did. I called
did.
you right when my house burned down.
and then whenever I said, what do I do now? And you said bids, and that didn't work. So it's been an
And
experience.
a year-long ordeal, and just I can't imagine just having that property sitting there.
Well, and then the
not-
whole time, you know, because it's boarded up and unlivable, then the whole time I've got the city trying to send me citations because it's boarded. It needs to have actual windows. You know, this is a hazard. You know, just everything they can think of. And I'm constantly having to send them notifications just going, hey, still arguing with my insurance company. Yep, still haven't settled with my insurance company. Believe me,
But you
I'd
still have
love
to keep it mowed.
Yep,
You still have to keep it mowed. You still have to make sure nobody's putting trash there, or like some vagrant has
squatting.
broken in
Yeah.
and, you know, shooting up
Yeah.
drugs on the front porch. That would be bad.
But I will say there are several things that I learned. One, if you're going through this process, you really need to, there are several things you need to do. One of which, don't do any bids. Because my bid,
That wasted time.
not only did it waste time, but it worked against me.
Yeah.
Because that's what the other appraiser was using against my appraiser, is she was able to get it all done for 50. Why can't you do 50? And he was like, well, obviously they didn't know the clear scope of work. And so he was battling not only against the other appraiser, but against the bid I had collected.
And
or
so had
bids.
you not done that work,
Had I not done that work, then that other appraiser would not have had anything to use against us.
and most likely would not have gone out and gotten these same bids. You would have gotten some general contractor.
Yeah. Well, and he would, you know,
Because
I mean,
you
maybe,
approached it legitimately, thinking that you were going to get something.
Yeah.
You were being honest.
Yeah.
All right, so don't go get bids.
Don't go get bids. If you can't get the scope, I mean, you want to get bids for your own knowledge, you know, so you know what the scope of work is going to look like, what you're going to have to spend to get that property back up and running. But you don't share it with the insurance company.
Right. Don't do your adversary's work for them.
Exactly. If they can't come up and realize that they owe you more money, then I would go directly to appraisal.
All right, so this was a happy story.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out well, and it's definitely going to pay off. But those are things, being in this industry as long as you and I have, like, I'm just floored that we did not know about this sooner.
I didn't. I've only taken one insurance claim ever, just one, and that was the
roof.
dogs. No, that was the dogs on fire. On a rental property.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on a rental property where the
Yeah,
whole
yeah, yeah.
back half of my house
I
had been
remember.
ripped off and the dogs were on fire in there.
Yeah.
That was the only one, and I really just felt a little overwhelmed
Yeah.
by that one. But now I'm realizing I probably could have gotten a lot more. I forget what they gave.
Yeah.
It was still, it was decent, and probably because of the smoldering dog carcass. But still, it sounds like, yeah, you fight it.
Well, you fight it, you know, one, obviously, if they're paying out and they're paying out
24,000.
right, then, okay, there's that. I know that does happen sometimes. But to me, it seems like there are too many houses that show up on the wholesale list that I get all the time. You're constantly seeing homes that show up on these lists that are something disastrous happened. And I, like you, thought people had just taken the insurance money and walked away and said, just frickin' take the house. I'll sell it for what I can. When in essence, it's probably that they couldn't rebuild with what they were being given.
And they were frustrated and they didn't feel like they had anywhere to turn.
Exactly. So word to the wise.
Step one, don't ever touch anything until you're satisfied and you get your check for what you want. Hire your appraiser as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
And how did you end up finding that guy?
So that was through an adjuster, an insurance adjuster. Insurance adjusters are probably easier to find just because there's more of them out there. So you can call your insurance company. Your insurance agent should really
be the one, but yours was not helpful.
Yeah, should really have that information, because I did find out that it was a thing through an insurance agent, and then it was just through common networking, and associates that I ended up with the appraiser that I got.
Excellent.
Yeah. So word to the wise, you guys, go ahead and fight those settlements if you don't feel like it's enough, because the insurance company is definitely going to, they're going to fight it.
Hey,
and you need to be armed with that knowledge.
Cheers to your extra $70,000.
Well, thank you.
It's always a
And
good
now
day.
we're starting construction.
Yeah. Now the real fun begins.
Yeah. And if y'all have any questions, or y'all want the recommendation of the insurance appraiser, I keep wanting to say adjuster, but the insurance appraiser that I have, I'll be sure to share that with you guys, and hopefully we'll have him on. Or if you have any questions about the process, it's just really, it's been a long process, and I feel like this little tidbit of knowledge is not out there, and people don't talk about it enough.
I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah. But thanks for sharing. Or thanks for watching, and if I can share any more. I'm Jer'Leigh Thompson with Texel Real Estate and Real Estate Reformation.
And I'm Kristen Gerst with Capricorn Mortgage. Send me your owner finance mortgage notes to buy, and send them fast, because we have no idea where interest rates are going. The more they go up, the less I can pay.
Exactly. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.